Hey everybody, it's time. Go get your snack, get your hydration, and get ready for Phenomenal Woman Rise Up with Terry K. Brown.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's so good to be here this evening. I hope everybody had a great week. I worked hard this week, but I'm here today and I'm happy to be here. Hey, I just first of all want to thank everybody for watching. I thank everybody for all the support that you've been giving me and encouragement because this is a little bit of a task to produce this show. Tonight, I am going to be your guest and your host. This is my very first live show, even though I usually tape the shows a couple days in advance because I like to put the show together and produce it. But today I'm trying something new, so I hope it goes well. I also want to thank Taryn Milliner for the music that you hear every show. He produced that music, and as we grow, we're going to be changing the music and putting new music in. And Terry Milliner is like the bomb diggity with the music. And I also want to thank Mark David Ribbons for the voiceover. And Mark, I just realized that I have been spelling your last name wrong in the end credits. So please blame it on my head, not my heart, because everybody hears that voice and it's instant like, hey, I know that voice. So thank you. Thank you to all the help that I get from everybody. Now, we're going to get down into this show today. You know that I've dedicated the month of August all about the children going back to school. And today I'm going to talk about something that when I was going to school, we didn't even talk about, and that is active school shooters. I mean, I think the worst thing that was coming out when I was in school, and mind you, I graduated from high school in 1978, so it was a little while ago, but we would be worried about our parent finding out we did something and coming up to the school and whooping our behinds. That was like the worst thing that could possibly happen in school. But now, how do you even explain what goes through someone's mind to arm themselves with an AK-47, pistols, nines, Glocks, grenades, ammunition that could blow up a whole doggone school property, and walk into a school and start shooting students and teachers and workers? Now I'm going to get my hydration. I hope y'all got yours. Look, I got this cup made. It's called Phenomenal Woman Rise Up. I've been looking for a personalized cup. This didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So, I know some people make cups, but I wanted something particular. But we'll get into that another time. But I'm going to get my hydration because my throat is a little dry. That's y'all cue to drink something too, if you want something to drink. Anyway, these people are getting guns. Young people are getting guns. Okay, I'm going to say it. Register to vote and vote, because that's how we get who we want in office to make these laws. That's how we do it. But these people are getting guns and rolling up to the school because they're mad, or they're mad at their teacher, or they're mad at their parents, and they go in there and kill all these children. We have heard it over and over and over and over again, and it just doesn't seem like anything is being really done about it. And quite frankly, I'm just going to say it, you have all these metal detectors at the openings of all these schools that are in the poor neighborhoods and all these schools that are in the somewhat ghetto neighborhoods because you're so worried about the students coming to school and shooting each other, when in reality, it's a lot of the broader areas, and I'm going to say it like that, that have no security that end up in these school shooting situations where there's mass shootings. Mass shootings where multiple children and teachers and cafeteria workers and janitors and people who are like helpers at the school are dying because there is not a seriousness taken towards this event. Now, this is my opinion, and quite frankly, I've done some research, and it seems like that the fact that there is still an opportunity for a school shooter to be successful, to me, says that it's not being taken seriously. Because if you want to prevent a mass shooting at a school, there are things to put in place to do it. It's just that simple. Don't nobody walk in the White House and start shooting everybody all over the place. They don't do that. So to me, my thought is the children are just as important as the people in the White House. That's how I feel. Now, I'm sure some people agree. That's just the truth. We have to take the measures to protect our children. Children are like going to school wondering what's going to happen today. Some children that have experienced these mass shootings can't even go back to school because of the mental and emotional trauma that they have experienced. And some of these children are even afraid to walk outside and play. Come on, adults. Come on. We have to do better by our children. Now, I really just want to push this today because we as adults have the opportunity to vote. Remember the first show this month about buying your own home, meaning that you have the right, because you pay taxes, you have the right to go up to that school, to the school board meetings, and have a say about what's going on in the schools where you reside. And if you are a homeowner and paying taxes, you can vote people in and you can vote people out. And I think you can do that even if you're not a homeowner, but you reside in the city. Now, I'm not going to say it's in stone because I haven't researched that, but I know as a homeowner in Richmond Heights, I have an opportunity to go to school board meetings. I have a say. I have a say in who gets in on the school board by voting. I have a say. I can talk to the mayor about my concerns. I can talk to the principals, the administrators. I have a say. And I don't even have any children that are going to school right now. I have grandchildren, and I have a concern about them, even at the college level. But I wanted to find out, and I live in Richmond Heights, and I wanted to find out, does Richmond Heights City School District have a plan if there's an active shooter? And so, you know what I did? I called the Richmond Heights School Board. Yes, I did. I went online on the Richmond Heights City School District website. They have a Facebook page, and I found out who is on the school board, and I called up the administrative offices of the Richmond Heights City School Board, and I had a list of questions. And anybody that knows me knows that I always have 1,000 questions. Once I start asking, it just goes on and on and on. But one thing I will say is the person that I talked to was ready. This person told me, she said, we basically right now, we are working. In fact, I wrote it down. She said that they have 2 policies in their bylaws, the Board of Education, and they have had some training with the police department, with the educators about school safety during an active shooter. And she said that there's already a policy in place. And if you go on the website or the Facebook page, but you go under Board of Education, and then you click on policies, it's policy 8400, and it's named School Safety. It explains about fire drills, it explains about tornadoes, it explains about what they're doing regarding the active shooter drills. And I was just glad that they had started something. And she knew exactly where to tell me to go look. And then she told me the dates of the school board meetings. And she also told me that I could always talk to the police department about it, or come to the administration building, or go to the school board meetings to find out. Now, that's my kind of school district. I'm telling you, I like people to be proactive. And nobody's perfect, and sometimes things slip through the cracks. But if you are a member of a homeowning, first show, member of your community, concerned, second show, about your child's education, and you want to be a provider and a parent that is concerned, also part of the second show, then this is what you need to do. Make that phone call to your school board or your administrator or the police department or the mayor's office or your school's principal, and simply ask, is there an active shooter plan? And if there is, ask, what is it? So that you can talk to your children or your grandchildren or the neighbor's kid about it. Because this is all real, people. It is 2022 and this is all real, okay? These people are out here losing their doggone minds and they're shooting up stuff. Now, I did some research. I'm not going to keep y'all long tonight because you know I could talk, all right? But I did some research and I have 5 different things that I'm not going to go through everything, but I'm going to tell you what I thought was important. I went on the website. It's called Ohio Protecting Ohio's Families, and it's an active shooter response and educator's guide companion workbook. And I'm going to have the URL at the end for you guys to look it up and read it online, because it talks about what they're trying to do in Ohio regarding preparation for educators with the active shooter response. And like we talked to Sister Tiffany McDonald last week about how much educators do, this is just another feather that your educators have to have in their hat, which is why we should be voting and championing for them to have more resources, for them to have more pay. And I'm not talking about $2,000, $3,000. Our teachers should be starting off at $75,000 at the least, okay? Because it's a professional position. So now our teachers have to plan, here it is, with law enforcement. That's the first thing that they do. They're training to protect our children. So and there's videos on this website for you to watch. So educators, you guys can tap into this also if your school district does not have anything in place, because you never know who's going to come in and try to shoot. Okay. And another thing, if your school is not locked down during the day, y'all need to be up there talking to the school board at the school board meetings, because there is no reason for anybody to be able to just walk into a school. Okay? Should be let in by somebody so they can know you coming. But okay, the first thing is planning with law enforcement. And just a little summary, schools should work with local law enforcement to create and practice an emergency management plan. Police can perform a vulnerability assessment. That's what the police do. And then they identify any weaknesses in the plan before this plan is filed with the Ohio Department of Education. So if your school does have an emergency management plan, it should be filed with the Ohio Department of Education. Okay. And you can go on this website that's going to be at the end to find out how you can submit a safety plan for your school. Okay. So some discussion points are like, what are the district safety plans? And are they up to date? These are things you should be asking at the school board meeting. And who in the district is responsible for this safety plan? Who is the person that's responsible? And if you work for a school, educators and workers in the school to keep the school clean and keep our children fed, those people are at risk also. Do you know where to access your school safety plan? And are you familiar with the contents of the safety plan? If you're the janitor at the school, you need to know what the safety plan is just as much as the educators do. Okay? The second thing that I pulled off this website is about coded language. Coded language. Now, interesting about this is I was thinking, snap, coded language, that's really smart, because, you know, the shooter don't know what you're talking about. You could be saying, you know, apple, apple, and it's to tell kids to stay down. But when I read the summary on this, it surprised me. They say, while it seems to make sense to issue orders in code during an emergency, so the attacker doesn't know the instructions that are being given, experience has proven that code words lead to confusion among those who most need the message. Short, specific instructions leave less room for doubt or panic and can be understood by school personnel, students, substitute teachers, and guests that happen to be in the school when it goes down. So, you know, you might want to ask, who oversees the school in emergency communications? You might want to know who's in charge of that and if they have it under control. So that's another question you could be asking at the school board meeting. Parents, grannies, grandpapas, daddies, aunties, y'all might want to start showing up at these school board meetings too, because you never know when you have to respond. I know when they had an emergency at Mentor High School, when my second oldest grandson was in school, and my daughter, she's in the medical field, and they called, I was off that day, they called her and she couldn't answer her phone right away. So they called the second person, me, and I was like, oh. I drove all the way out to Mentor High School, but I am so glad that Mentor High School had that stuff in control. My grandson, if you all ever been to Mentor High School, it's huge, just like a college campus. My grandson, they had the students on the outside, outlying area. And you had to come, if you wanted to get a kid, you had to be on that list. And the children were away from the building, and you had to be on that list. You couldn't even pull up to the building. You know, it was like they had it under control. So kudos to Mentor High School. But like, I'll get back to the thing, but I tell you, I experienced experiences, and he's been out of high school for 2 years. So you also need to know what is the protocol and who issues the orders in a case of an emergency. Who is in charge? Because as we just saw out in Texas, the person that was supposed to be in charge of the police, he ain't even a police person no more. They fired him. He did not take charge, because this is important. So who is the person who's in charge of the communications? That's an important question you need to ask, and somebody needs to have a decent answer. I want to know who that person is. The third thing, do I have it up here right? Lockdown. Does everybody know what lockdown is? So a lockdown is different from a lockout. Let me read the definition of lockdown. Lockdown is an emergency measure in which a danger is detected inside the building, and people are temporarily prevented from entering the building or exiting the building. You cannot enter and you cannot exit. That is a lockdown. Now, a lockout is different. A lockout is an emergency measure in which a threat is detected outside of the building, and the exterior doors are locked to prevent entrance from anybody coming in and exit from anybody going out. So it's kind of like the same thing, but a lockdown means something going down in the building, and a lockout means something's going on outside of the building. So the goal of these two things is to quickly get all students, all school personnel, and all visitors to a secure place. Teachers, there we go. Our teachers, again, super people, they should quickly assemble the students in their classrooms, lock the doors and lock the windows, close the shades, and turn off all the lights. That's part of a lockdown. And one thing that I found very interesting that they mention in here is that if a fire alarm goes off during a lockdown or a lockout, teachers know to tell their students, do not respond to it. Because a lot of shooters have been pulling the fire alarm because they know that kids are gone. They know, oh, fire, run, run, run. And so if there's a fire alarm during an active shooter, do not respond to it. It says it right here. Treat it with suspicion, since active shooters have been known to set fire alarms off. Whew, Lord Jesus. Okay, just two more. Now let y'all get back to your football game, because is it football? Yeah, it's football. Or is it still preseason? I don't know, but I know my husband was doing the football thing. So this was very interesting also. Window placards. I thought this was really a great idea because the shooter is inside the building. The rescuers are outside the building attempting to come in to save everybody. Oh, except for down in Texas, because we know they just stood out there. But I digressed. Okay. But this says that if students and staff are barricaded in a classroom during an emergency, window placards can be used to communicate with law enforcement outside. Signs with specific information about the number of people in the room, which is very important, and the severity of anybody who's injured, which is even more important, help law enforcement and paramedics prioritize what classrooms they need to get to first without someone screaming, help, help, or in here, because you know you're supposed to have the lights off, the doors and windows locked, and you're supposed to be on the floor or in the closet. You are not supposed to be visible. So if you can put those window placards in the window, you know, the teachers are the ones that do this. The teachers, okay? So you have to think about what can be used in the classroom to do this. Or you could have pre-made ones available, which teachers will probably be the ones ended up doing it because teachers are right there. So, think about that. And then you can also train your students ahead of time to know what you're doing. Preparation is definitely the key. And then the last one here, recovery. Does your district have a recovery plan? Who in your school is supposed to be the persons that help law enforcement if there's an active shooter? Who in your school is going to help these children and teachers and school workers recover mentally after this? These are questions that have to be addressed. So the summary of the recovery tab says, in the aftermath of an incident, school officials should look to the district's recovery plan as the first step to healing. Once the intruder is no longer a threat, a point person from the school should work with law enforcement to determine how school personnel can assist the first responders who will have to clear the school. So you're going to have to get these children who have survived and teachers who have survived and school workers who have survived. You got to get them out of the building and you have to get them out safely. And then you have to get out the ones who did not survive. And then you have to handle the children and the teachers who have experienced this horrific thing. And then the parents. Oh my God. This is a lot. And I get kind of fooled because I remember when I had to go to that school when they said there was a possibility of an active shooter, and all I could think about is, God, please let me see my grandson alive and not hurt. Because once something goes bad like this, it's gone bad. And you're either on the outside looking in a panic, or you're on the inside wanting to get out in a panic. So we need to address this. Parents, teachers, administrators. You remember when Tiffany McDonald was talking about that full circle? And I'm going to play her. I'm going to put it up again in case somebody missed it. She was talking about how the administrators have a role. The educators have a role. The parents have a role. The school board members have a role. The people who work in the school, the safety personnel, the sanitation workers, the school lunch workers, everybody has a role. And if everybody can communicate with each other and have a plan, people, have a plan. And then just do the best you can do. If something like this happens, then at least our children can walk in the school building in the morning and say, okay, there's a plan in case something goes crazy like this. It's sad, but it's something we have to address. If you have a child in school or know a child in school and you do not know if there's a plan in place for an active shooter, it is your responsibility to make a phone call, if nothing else, and ask your school district, what's the plan? What's the plan? Is anybody making a plan if there's not a plan? Can I help make a plan? What do you need? Do we need to get a fundraiser to get special personnel to get in here to make a plan? Can we stop having the community bake sale and put that money into training officers and so they can train the educators, so that educators can train the students? This is something we need to think about. Okay? That's my show for tonight. Oh, You like my shirt? You like it? I don't sweat. I sparkle. I have hot flashes. I got this shirt at Our Favorite Things Boutique. Hey, Lisa. It's on Larchmere Boulevard, right off of Shaker Square, if you want to get one. So look, y'all, this show, I kind of ran through it kind of fast, but the credits at the end are going to give you some information if you want to find out how to get all this stuff and you want to talk to your children about it, which I suggest you do. And then the most important thing is to talk to your school district about what do they have in place. Okay? So look, next week, we're going to talk about the college students. I ain't forgot about y'all. You know I love y'all college students. You know I love college. We're going to talk about what's going on in college with some of the hurdles that young Black men are facing, young Black women are facing, anybody of color is facing. And probably white people too. And I'm just being honest. It's just the person that I'm going to be talking to, he helps everybody, not just Black, not just white, not just Hispanic, not just Asian, not just Middle Eastern. He helps everybody with if they're having a struggle in college. But I'm just saying, I've been to college, I've been on campus, I've been online, I've been when I was just out of high school, I've been when I got a little older, I've been as a senior, and I'm going to tell you something, it's different at college for a person of color. Now, one thing I haven't done is been to a HBCU. Yeah, HBCU. I haven't been to one, so I really can't speak on that, but I will be talking to a person who is degreed. He has a good degree. He has excellent experience working with these students, and he is right there all the time. He goes over and above to help. So he knows the struggles. So tune in next week, y'all, because if you got a college student, you need to find out about these things and also find out about what services should be available for college students to help them, not just with school, just to manage life at college, because things get different when you leave from high school to college, especially if you're of color. We all have been there. We know this is true now. Okay? All right. So have a great week, y'all, and take some time for yourself and talk to the Lord about some stuff. If you are confused, talk to the Lord, and you don't have to have special words. You could be like, oh, God, help me, Lord. That's talking to the Lord. I do it all the time. He knows my voice and he listens to me. And you know, I'm a chatterbox, so you can talk to him too. So if you are on YouTube watching this, subscribe and like. Tell somebody else too, because we're trying to build that YouTube subscription thing up. If you're on Facebook, thank you for watching. Share it with somebody else. You just have to hit the share button, okay? Okay, y'all, the credits is coming on with the information. And then also you're going to see after that the video from last week's talking of the advertisement for Tiffany McDonald, that superior educator that has a website to help not only parents, but teachers too. Because we love y'all teachers. We love you. We love you. We love you. I'm one of your biggest champions. So have a great evening. Get something good to eat. I'm getting ready to go fry some chicken because my husband likes my fried chicken. So he gonna be happy. All right. All right, y'all. Watch the credits, like and share. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. watch this one too. It's good.